Good morning, Year 2. This is Friday. I nearly said Tuesday. It's not Tuesday at all. This is Friday's English lesson for the Main Challenge activity. And we are looking at the second join in handwriting for our starter. So remember, the second join is when we join up to one of those tall letters and we make our join stop halfway. And then when we get there, we have to go straight up and back down to form the rest of the letter. And it's when we're joining onto these letters, B, F, H, K, L and T. They're the tall letters with ascenders. Now a D, you might have spotted, has got that tall ascender that sticks up high, but it's on the other side. So when we join to a D, we don't have to join up high, we do the high bit at the end. And today we're going to practice the word ill. So nice and straightforward. I hope none of you are ill, hopefully you're all feeling really, really well, but it's a good word to practice for that join. So I'm going to get my nice sharp pencil, start on the line. This line here is where we always start forming all of our letters. And I'm going to go up to that next line for an I, and back down and join about halfway, then go straight up to the top line for the L, do the same again, and flick and dot the I. If you're using the sheet, then you can trace 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times the word ill and then copy it on the line underneath. That's a bit tricky. Remember, the I goes in between the middle two lines and the L goes all the way up to the top. Nothing goes in this bottom bit on this word. And then you can have a go at writing the word yourself 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times again. If you're writing it yourself on a piece of paper or on a whiteboard, can you write the word ill 10 times? And that's it for the starter. Now, I expect you're feeling tired by now. We have worked so hard this half term, especially in English. We've done some amazing pieces of writing. We've written a poem about Eastleigh. We have written a winter description of Narnia. And now we are going to be finishing off our Tinga Tinga Tale. Now you might be saying, I've already finished mine. You might have finished writing it, but today we are going to edit our writing. And the point of editing is to make it even better. Famous writers like J.K. Rowling and David Walliams, they don't write their stories and finish them straight away and then they get made into a book. They have to keep going back to it and checking it. And they even have a person whose job it is to read their work and tell them how to make it better. That's called their editor. So it's a bit like having a teacher mark your work. An editor will say to the author, I don't like that part, can you put some more detail in there, or get rid of that part, or why don't you change those parts around? And it helps the author improve their writing. That's what you're going to be doing today. So I'm going to help you as much as I can through this video, but you are going to need to be like the Determinator and have a go on your own. So this is the first thing to help you. These are the things on our road that we need to use to make our story really, really good. We need to make sure we've joined sentences with that, if, when and because. Pause the video now, go back through your story and count up how many times have you used that, if, when or because. If you have used those words altogether at least 5 times in your writing, you've done a fantastic job. If you've done them at least 3 times, that's not bad. Can you see if you can put a couple more in today? If you've used these words less than 3 times in your writing, I want you to make sure by the end of today there's at least 3 of them in there. And not just 3 becauses. Maybe a because and an if and a when. Try and do at least 2 of them. Okay, the next one, I can use adverbs to start a sentence. Those are those words that quite often, but not always, end in ly. Carefully, quickly, slowly, angrily. Have you used them in your writing at all? And have you used them at the beginning of a sentence? So can you go and pause the video and count how many times have you got them at the beginning of a sentence and how many times have you got them in the middle of a sentence? I'm hoping that altogether you've used at least 4 adverbs in your writing. and I'd like you to have at least 3 starting a sentence. So again today, if you can't say, I've got 3 different adverbs at the beginning of a sentence, you need to go back in and see where you can add them in. And finally, let's have a look at the and S suffixes for your writing. How many times have you used those? So that's words like hot, hotter, hottest, long, longer, longest. So each time you've used a word like long, longer and longest, we're going to count that as once. So if you've used long, longer and longest, you count that as 1, not 3. Can you go back and count in your writing? And I'd like you to have at least 2 sets of those words. So at least maybe like a long, maybe a short, shorter and shortest at the beginning of the story for his nose. You could have a hard, harder and hardest for the animals pulling. And then at the end, you could have a long, longer and longest for the elephant's nose at the end. So choose 2 of those at least, and you need to go back and add those in. And finally, I can start sentences with if, when and because. If you want to meet that challenge, I want you to have at least 3, I can't even count today, it must be Friday, at least 3 different words starting off sentences. And that just leaves the persuasive blurb. Now some of you did that yesterday, and if you didn't, there is a separate video on Thursday for the challenge activity. That is something, if you want to challenge yourself, that you could add in today. So maybe go back and have a look at that video. Don't forget, in school, we would use purple polishing pen to make our corrections. So for example, if you had to add in a conjunction, you might, I'm going to pretend that I need to add a conjunction into this piece of writing just to show you what it looks like. You might draw a little arrow underneath and then add in when and the rest of the sentence above it in purple. If you haven't got a purple pen at home, that is okay. Can you use a different colour if possible so that your teacher can see which bits you've added in today? Good luck everybody, we are really looking forward to seeing your finished stories. See you soon.